Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Mr. Tie-Dye, and today we're going to be doing the design that I call the hashtag rainbow spiral. It's a discharge design, so I actually start with a black tee and then I remove color and then I add color back in. But this is a multiple step process, so we're going to tie it up and remove color 3 different ways, and then we'll tie it up and dye it. So first I'm going to do is fold it up and remove the diagonal lines going this way, and then we're going to fold it up a second time and remove color going this way, and then we're going to fold it up one more time and remove the color with the lines going this way. So anyways, and then after all of that, then I will rinse it. We soak it in soda ash, twist it up as a spiral, and then we dye it in the rainbow colors or whatever colors you choose, but I like the rainbow spiral on this design. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I have a clean cotton black tee here. Oh, and the product that I use for this, for removing color, that I prefer for this design here is called Decolourant, and it's by Discharged, and you can find this Decolorant either on the Dharma trading site, or I bought this one, first jug I bought on Dharma, second jug I think I bought on Amazon. So those are 2 places I know about. There might be other dye houses that carry it, but it's Decolorant by Discharged, and you use steam or heat to remove the color after you apply that. So to start with, we're going to take a clean pre-washed tee. I always pre-wash my tees because sometimes there can be sizing that's put on from the manufacturer, and that can interfere with the dyeing process, and that's not a good thing. So I always pre-wash my tees just to make sure that the dye or the decolorant or whatever is able to penetrate the fabric and either remove color or add color. So I'm going to go into super speed mode here, but basically what I'm going to do is just kind of pleat going up diagonally across the tee. So, and I'm going to pleat, I don't know, maybe an inch high there, 1.5 inches. The main thing that I'm trying to do is just keep all of my pleats at the same height as I go along here. So, and you can spend as much time or as little time as you want on this, but the more time that you work on the precision of your folds here, the better the design is going to come out. So we're going to go into super speed mode and finish tying this up. Okay, so now once I get this kind of tied up, get my pleats all nice and even, I'll straighten out this part when I finish wrapping it up here. But what I'm going to do, the way that I remove color is by steaming it. So I have a vegetable steamer, so I need to fit this shirt into this container here. So what I do after I get it kind of pleated up this way is I'll either roll it up or I'll just slowly fold it. So basically I'm just slowly folding this up, trying to make sure that I keep my pleats even, because we're going to paint the colorant on the tops of all of these creases. So I want to try to keep those kind of nice and neat on top. So as I fold this up, I'm just kind of making sure that the tops of my pleats are staying up there at the height that I need them. And then, like I say, here's the part where you can kind of arrange your pleats as you finish rolling this t-shirt up. This stuff does have a little bit of a smell. If you've ever had a perm, it kind of smells like that. So I recommend either working outside, or I have an open window right here. That just helps dissipate the smells a little bit. But basically what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use a foam brush, and I'm just going to put a good coat on the tops of these creases here. After you put your rubber bands on, you can make sure that your creases are all kind of standing up. You want to make sure that none of them have gotten folded over. I mean, if they do, you're just going to have just a little bit of a spot. When you take a close look at my t-shirt here, you can see some of these creases give a little skinny line, and some of them give a fat line, some of them break out. So it just depends on how well you have done your pleating job, and then you apply the out white bright. I'm not looking for exact military straight lines here. I did 6 years in the military, that's enough. Now it's time to be a little bit more relaxed. So, like I say, you can put as much time in as you want and be as precise as you want, but you could also be a little bit more relaxed about it, and that's kind of how I do mine. I like to be relaxed. And then I put a nice thick coat on here, and sometimes I'll go back over it another time just to make sure that it's got a really good coat. And you can kind of use the foam brush to kind of tap it down in there just a little bit into the creases. So if your pleats aren't like exactly the height, the little foam brush will allow you to just kind of dip it down into the little creases there. You might have to kind of open some of the places up. And any places that don't have an exact crease, you might get just a little bit of a scrunch action. And like I say, that's also fine with me. So once you have that side, then you're just going to flip it over and do the other side. And whichever side is down on the table is usually going to have a nicer set of pleated lines, just because it's been flat on the table. So sometimes if I think about it, I'll put the front of the t-shirt face down, because then it gets a really nice flat, even coating, pleating job of all your pleats, where the other side they might be just a little bit off. Anyways, that's just another personal choice, something that you can think about when you're putting your t-shirt together. And I lift the rubber bands up when I'm getting right under there, just to make sure that as you're flipping back and forth, you don't flip the rubber band and fling the stuff around. So just a precaution about splattering is all, but you can do it however you like. Okay, once I'm done there, then I stick it in my container. Although usually when I'm folding this up, I break my container out and make sure that it's actually going to fit in there. But with this here, really, it just needs to get in there so I can kind of squish it together and shove it down in there. The next time I'll make sure to kind of roll it up so that it fits within the container better. But this will work. So now I'm just going to go put this on the steamer, and I'm going to leave it on there for 45 minutes. This will fill up with steam, and the top coats of all of these lines, the color will just dissipate on there. And I'll show that. So hang out for about 2 seconds and you'll see the first step, and then we'll go through the next two. Okay, so here's the tee after the first batch here. So it's still steaming, so I'm wearing a glove just for a little bit of protection here. But you can see where the dye has been removed, just off of the tops of those creases there. So the next step that I do is I do a good rinse on this and spin it out so it's barely damp again, and then I'll fold it up again. Okay, so before I handle this, I make sure to run some good cold water on it, because that steam makes it very hot. So you want to be cautious around the steam. Open the lid when you're outside so that the fumes don't get in your eyes in any way, but also that you don't handle it while the shirt is still hot. So I do a really good rinse on this, squeeze it out. And then there's the first batch of lines on the tee. Like I say, you can see where some of the lines, maybe they didn't get a good coating of the out white bright, but I don't want it to look like I just did exact precise lines. I like the randomness of this. Some of these lines that are more faded are from the other side, so this would be where the dye was on the out white bright was on this side. So those two are nice and solid. This other one here is where it's soaked through from the other side. So you do get a random mix of these lines on here, and that just, to me, just makes it more unique. So we're going to go into step 2 of the process, and we'll be back in a couple seconds. Okay, we're back again. So I did a good rinse just in the sink with cold water, and then I spun it out, so this is now just barely damp. So now it's time to fold up the other direction. So we pleated this way to get these diagonal lines. Now I like to pleat the other direction, so we're going to pleat from this corner. So I'm just going to flip this over, put the front side of the t-shirt down so that we can get some more even pleats on the front. And then I just start pleating going the other direction here. And I'm not specifically trying to line these up, but since these are all running diagonally there, you can see where they're kind of lining up on the top here. But we're going to be removing color now going the other direction. So these parts here are going to be the crisscross or the hashtag looking spots on the t-shirt. Time I'll try to pay more attention to the size of my container here. So really it's just a matter of keeping these creases, all of my pleats, so that I have all my folds up on top nice and even there. That's the only really thing that you need to worry about as you're folding this up, is that you don't fold some of these creases under, and if you do, you can just slowly kind of pull those up. But then I'm just making sure that as I fold this, it's going to fit easier into my steam container here. Oh yeah, that I'll have to squish just a little bit, but that will fit into my container better. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to break out the decolorant. And I usually just store my thing in a plastic bag if I'm going to be working with it more on the same day. Let's get that out of our light. And like I say, this is the time to adjust any of your pleats. So if it looks like some of the pleats are covering other ones, just go in there and kind of pull those. You can pull them up or tuck them down, whatever you need. Like I say, and I like if you put the front down, then you get more even, precise folds on the front there. So we're just going to coat this in the same fashion we did before. Like I say, it's a cool design, but it does take a bit of a process to get all of the color removed in a nice hashtag pattern. Okay, so here's the second time on there. Like I said, you can see all that steam, so you want to make sure that you don't burn yourself. I either put gloves on, I use a rag, but if you had tongs, you could pick that up easier. Oh, and I see one of my rubber bands busted in there. But there is the second part of the process. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rinse this really good, And then we're going to come back and get it tied up one more time. Oh, that's a bad one. And then we'll get it tied up and dyed. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back. We got the two diagonal lines going on there. And I think because of the amount of the out-white bright, or not out-white bright, the decolorant that I put on there, it soaks in more and it gives me a thicker line. If you just did a quicker coat, you would get probably thinner lines. And this is a design that you can do just the hash marks in the two different directions and go ahead and tie it up and do the spiral, or you can go one more time, or you could go two more times. You could do it however many times you want and remove more color, but I think I'm going to do it one more time here and remove more color. So I'm just going to do a quick pleat from the bottom. I don't want to remove as much, so I'm going to do a taller pleat, so my lines are going to be a little bit further apart. So it's just a matter of figuring out how you want your shirt to look. I'm doing this on the whole tee, but I've also done it where I've just kind of done the middle of the tee. So you can kind of play around with this and fold it up and remove color in the whole tee or just part of the tee. You can fold it up. You don't have to do the diagonal lines. You could do the straight up and down, horizontal, back and forth. Lots of ways of doing this design. And I got, I think, another couple methods. I'm going to kind of play with this a little bit more and show you other ways that I've done similar type designs. This time I'm just going to do just a quick coat. I have a lot of color removed, so I don't need big fat lines. I just want just one more set of lines just because I like the extra patterning in there. One more time into the steamer and then we'll get this thing dyed up, so stay tuned. Okay, here it is after its last discharge. It was out there for probably 30 minutes or so, and then I had lunch, so it sat and cooled some, so thought I would open this thing up just to show you. Like I say, we did the tops of these last creases going horizontally across there. You can see some spots I didn't get covered, but that's okay because mostly I just want the patterning on there because everywhere that there's now white on here is going to be filled up with the rainbow spiral. So I'm going to give this one more good rinse and then we'll get it twisted up and ready to dye with the rainbow spiral. So you guys hang out. We'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, so I did a really good rinse out on this. Spun it out, so now it's just barely damp again. So this was the latest thing that we did, was take out these lines going across here. So anyways, I think I have enough black taken out of the tee, so now I'm going to just spiral it up. I mean, at this point you can tie it up however you like, but I like the way the rainbow spiral looks on the hashtag. Okay, so there is the hashtag rainbow spiral discharge all ready for dye. So I'm going to get some gloves on and I'll be back in about 2 seconds. We'll rainbow spiral this thing up. Thank you for watching. Okay, so it's been a couple days. I had some things come up. Anyways, we're back to get some dye put on to this hashtag midnight rainbow spiral, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go with fuchsia, deep orange, lemon yellow, a bright green that I mix myself. I just do 3/4 of a bottle with lemon yellow and 1/4 of the bottle with turquoise, and that makes a really nice bright green. turquoise, and then I'm going with the deep purple that I have watered down some, so probably put, you know, maybe 3/4 to 2/3 of the deep purple, and then I filled the rest with just plain water, and that just lightens it up some. So anyways, those are the colors we're going to do. We're just going to dye this in a rainbow spiral. There's both sides there. Like I say, after I did all of the discharging, then I just spun it out, twisted it up really nice, and we're just going to go for it. So super speed, here we go. Oh, and the one thing about working with the kite string is sometimes the dye will kind of travel along the line. So every now and then you'll see me kind of just poke the T. Well, what I'm doing is there's little drips of drops of dye that kind of build up on the kite string. So I am just kind of touching the kite string and pushing it down so that that drip can be soaked up by the t-shirt instead of possibly running along that line and maybe traveling into another color. So it's just one of the little drawbacks of kite string, but if you just kind of keep on top of it when you see the little drops forming, just kind of give them a little touch, push them down, as long as they're right over the same color. If they've already run into the other one, sometimes I'll take my rag and I'll just do just a quick little swipe just to kind of pick that little drop of dye up. But anyways, we'll finish this last one out. There is the hashtag rainbow spiral. So I'm going to let this batch for 48 hours and you'll see the results here in about 2 seconds. Peace. Good morning, welcome to Hippie Christmas with Mr. Tie-Dye. So today we're going to open up the hashtag rainbow spiral. Yeah. Beautiful color in there. So, alright, we'll be at this in about 2 seconds. Thank you for watching. Peace, love, light, and laughter.